Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this is going to be my battle report of the ETC 2023 in Amsterdam against Highborn Elves from Canada. Um, yeah, so it's Highborn Elves. I play against the Highborn Elves occasionally, so I don't know all the rules by now that well anymore because there's stuff that's changing in all the different books. But basically, the general setup of the units has remained quite similar over the few iterations, so I do know my way around Highborn Elves, I would say. This army features a High Prince, Master of the Canray Tower, so basically that's also the mage in or the main magic support of the army. Then a Cowboy on a Griffin, which is quite good with a 4-up Aegis save, 2-up armor save, and then just some decent damage output. And then a variety of different units. So I would say it's quite a balanced list. You have also still an Initiate of the Fiery Heart to support the magic a bit. But basically it can do all kinds of different things. My list once again, if you haven't seen it before, please check my other videos by now. We are playing Encircle, so I have the middle in the deployment zone and I have the flanks. My opponent has flanks, and I believe we are playing Capture the Flags, but I'm not really sure about that anymore. And this is going to be my deployment. So for my opponent, left to right, he has the Fire Phoenix, he has the Initiate of the Fiery Heart, White Lions, Sea Guard, the Grey Watchers, then the BSB, Phoenix Guard with the Prince, Archers, 2 Line Chariots, and then the Illyrian Reavers and the Silver Helms or the Highborn Lances. For me, left to right, Raptor Chariot, Red Prince on Raptor, Raptor Chariot, Beastbreakers with Crucible, Obsidian Guard with the Cosmo Mage, then the Repeater Auxiliaries, Thunderpack, 2 Hunting Chariots, Auxiliaries with Banner of Discipline, and a unit of Shadow Riders. So deployment-wise, I was quite happy with how it turned out. I believe at some point my opponent dropped, and I could try to counter him quite nicely. So I could counter his flanking maneuver with the Fire Phoenix and the Initiate, mostly by just putting some Raptor Chariots there and the Dread Prince. Also, he does have Quicksilver Lash, it can do some damage to my Dread Prince, but I could get out of range quite effectively in this way. And also, yes, Silver Spike somewhere, I think it's on the Initiate, but then if the Initiate's really going to show himself, then I will be able to charge him unless he goes out of range, which I'm also happy with because then he's not going to come over my flanks. So otherwise, yeah, Thunderpack, the matchup against the Line Chariots, I don't mind it too much because I also have the Woods to protect me a bit still. I will. It's not the ideal matchup, but basically I want my Hunting Chariots there. I think the Thunderpacks was one of the first drops that I did. So then it's quite logical that they either get confronted by Line Chariots or the White Lions themselves. So this is after both our moves. So I believe he had turn 1 and he didn't really do that much, to be honest. He did, in this first magic phase, I believe I just used my Binding Scroll on Silver Spike because I just didn't want to run the risk of my Dread Prince already being gone in the first turn of the game. Otherwise, he adjusted a bit, he shot a little bit, didn't really do that much damage. And then in my turn, I mostly advanced. Because basically my play here would be my play to get a decent amount of points, like 12 or even more, would be to advance into his lines and go get my points. On the right flank, we see my Shadow Riders scurrying behind his Highborn Lancers that have turned around. Otherwise, I'm just adjusting the lines. I'm trying to get the Thunderpack a bit more central in a way where I am not as affected by the Lion Chariots, but I can still push out some threat ranges. Otherwise, on the left side, I just try to zone his mobile pieces. I try to get into the White Lions. I did give him here a charge onto my left Raptor Chariot, but I was quite confident with my counter charge with the Obsidian Guard and the Beast Breakers. So basically it's a way to push through my chariot without any repercussions. Then for my opponent, he basically played the defensive game, just tried to get away again, and I'm just like every turn after now, I'm just trying to get my chariots into the white lines, charging on like a 10 or a 9, and I just didn't make it. So a couple of times I didn't make it. But this is my opponent readjusting to my move of my previous turn. He was checking different angles for his reavers. The only angle he didn't check was the one of the hunting chariot on the right side of the woods, so that would be the hunting chariot over here. That angle he didn't check, and that was well within line of sight, because that guy is a bit more angled than the other hunting chariot. So that was a minor mistake by my opponent. There's a lot of angles to account for, and it can go wrong sometimes. Magic-wise, nothing really happens that much. Shooting-wise, my opponent only has like 15 shots or something, so nothing happens that much. And we go to my next turn. So this is my next turn, and yeah, basically I'm trying to push a little bit everywhere. So over the turns, I do some damage to the lion chariots. He had one chariot that fell back a bit. That will be healed later, because every time he casts Fountain of Youth on it, it will get 2 wounds back. So the damage I do is not high enough to really fully remove a lion chariot. So basically nothing is really happening over there. On the left side, I really desperately try to just push through with my chariots and also my combat blocks. But I do have to respect the charge of the Phoenix guards or the Flame Wardens on the hill. They have a reroll. I don't want to give them an 11 or less. So basically I just want them to give no charge at all. On the other side, it still hampers him quite a lot. I feel that my Thunder Pack are already there for the counter charge, so he cannot really do any suicide charges. And this is what we end up in. Then for the next picture, this is his next turn. So he does move over with the Fire Phoenix. I don't have an immediate counter to that. Mostly because, well, the Raptor Chariots are a bit charging. I could have turned around my Dread Prince, but it also had a failed charge. I believe that was how it got to move up against the building there. So yeah, next round it's not going to be that nice for me with the Fire Phoenix dealing a lot of damage to either my Beast Breakers or my Flame Wardens. So as a counter, I could have gone wide with my Beast Breaker unit to limit the damage. Then again, right now we're in quite a stable Mexican standoff basically. And if this would be the game, then basically we don't score at all, neither of us. It's just going to be a 10-10. I think, by the way, that we didn't play Capture the Flags because I do see now that we had tokens in the middle. So probably it's secure target then. So we would have had to pick these up. But we are just creating no-go zones for the opponents all the time, for each of us. So this is the point where I asked my captain whether I should continue this play or whether I should try to go for the points. He advised me to try and go for the points, so I did. And that leads us basically to this picture. This picture is after my full turn again. So on the left side, finally I did get a Raptor Chariot into the White Lions. The White Lions retaliated and put 3 wounds, I believe, on my Raptor Chariot, or 2 wounds. I was hoping to break them, but he remained steadfast by 1 wound, so that was a bit unfortunate, I would say. And otherwise, I move everything up on the left side to be out of line of sight of the Flame Wardens, because I feel like that is the only real threat to my units over there at the moment. But then again, my opponent is going to be able to draw out a turn and do some quirky stuff there maybe. Yeah, otherwise right side is still stable. I have my token by now, and my opponent still has 3 Lancers left or something, so that feels quite stable. There's 1 Lion Chariot that's gone by now. I have 1 Hunting Chariot that has had to charge at some point, so that is a bit in a vulnerable position. Otherwise, it's still, yeah, there's a Phoenix on my flank, but yeah, what are you going to do about it? So my Dread Prince repositioned to account for the Phoenix. Maybe I shouldn't have done that because the model is just so mobile anyway, so I could have just very aggressively moved up with him as well. And then we go to the end of the game. I don't have any pictures of anything that happened in between, unfortunately. Long story short, I'll just go back to the previous picture and I'll try to explain from here. So long story short, my opponent jabs me up, or well, he put some stuff in between here to make sure my Obsidian Guard don't get a successful charge, really, or just can remove some chaff. And my Beast Breakers get swiped once by the Flame Phoenix, removing something like 13 models or something. The Raptor Chariot does make it out alive against the White Alliance. The other Raptor Chariot and this Raptor Chariot together, they charge the Sea Guard. And I completely fail on my impact hits, doing like 5 impact hits with 2d6 plus 2 hits. So that was a bummer. And then in the end, I killed 8 Sea Guard in one round with 2 chariots, whilst normally I would expect to do that with like 1 chariot. So that was a bit of a bummer, but yeah, that's stuff that happens. So in the end, they did manage to grind out my both Raptor chariots. The Obsidian Guard, they got shot and breath weaponed actually, and another breath, I don't know. There was a lot of, there's a Dragon Staff as well somewhere, I think. So in one round, I think it was this round that so I came free with my Raptor Chariot, I could charge with the other Raptor Chariot. I had 5 Sea Guard, or Obsidian Guard left. I charged with them together with the Raptor Chariots into the Sea Guard, and then only my mage arrived. But that was still quite okay because it meant that I could just put the mage in the middle and then clip with the chariot, so I didn't get too many attacks on the chariot. So that was still okay. Beastbreakers, they managed to charge something over here. I believe it was his initiate that I managed to charge. I removed the initiate, then I overran and I flanked his flame wardens, but he had a counter charge with his griffin. And my unit was at that point so decimated that I lost that grind. And in hindsight, I really shouldn't have taken the overrun with the Beast Breakers after defeating the Initiate. I should have just have backed up. But then again, there was also still this Phoenix flying around. On the right side, what happens is that eventually the Hunting Chariots, one of them gets removed. I think the Thunderpack, they try to support the Flame Warden fight, but they don't really manage. And then on the right side, I do manage to hold the objective with the counter charge of a chariot. This is basically what you see in the last picture here. So I do still have my Dread Prince at full strength. I don't know if I still have this guy or not. My opponent's army is also quite decimated, except for the Flame Wardens. They are still there, and the BSB and the Sea Guard. I did manage to take out the Phoenix as well. I did manage to take out the Lancers, and I did get a hold on to the objective. So in the end, my opponent has more points left than me. However, I do have the objective. I think it's counted out here on the bottom that we have a 1600 point difference or something. And then I do have the objective, resulting in a 9-11 for the Dread Elves. Am I happy with the score? I mean, going from this picture to the next picture, I have one big regret, which is the overrun to the flank of the Flame Wardens. Mostly because the counter charge was there for my opponent's BSB. If I hadn't done that, then it would have been a more stable game, better result. So I shouldn't have done that. Otherwise, yeah, matchup-wise, it gets a bit difficult on any map where you have. I don't like this map in general because you have 2 pieces of impossible that turn the game into a very frontal assault. Basically, you don't have that much opportunity of flanking the enemy, especially also even with the hill. It's like you force a linear engagement and then you give one of the sides cover on the flanks and you give them a hill. So for a defensive position, this is ideal, which I think is a bit of a shame in map design. But then again, there always has to be something to complain about, right? Like the game itself, I liked how I could just remain pressure with the Thunderpack. That were quite quite well protected in the forest. I could have maybe made more use of them. Then again, the hill, I really didn't want to risk anything this game. Mostly also because I had paired it as a neutral pairing or something slightly positive, and I just wanted to bring in these points. In a solo competition, I would have definitely gone more aggressive, just to get the 20 points if possible. I think in the end it worked out quite alright. My opponent was a great guy, great sport, enjoyable battle. Um, yeah, and I would definitely play him again. So with that, we have 9 points again for the Dread Elves. This is unfortunately also going to be the last report that I will do about ETC because I didn't take any pictures in my last game. I just had an enjoyable game against a guy from Team Argentina, I believe he was playing this year, against his Vampire Covenant, and we just had a lot of fun together. Um, so yeah, that was the end of my ETC, scoring a total of 71 or 73 points, which I was very happy with. So still, my matchup against Undying Dynasties could have gone way better. This matchup could have been a bit better, but yeah, honestly, this map is not really meant for. Like, if I can play even wider, then the impact of the Flame Wardens just decreases by a lot, because basically now the Flame Wardens, they just cover a 17-inch zone, um, being on the hill, and me honestly not wanting to risk any charges there. So yeah, that's this game. I think I still played it out quite alright. If you have any tips, any comments, please let me know, and I will see you then next time.